Hello friends, welcome to Lukman IAS. Today we are going to have the Hindu analysis of 14th May 2021. Let us see which are the important articles in today's The Hindu newspaper. Yes, these are the important articles for mains purpose and for prelims purpose. And in the end, we have added some COVID-19 related developments at national stage and then some important captions and quotations from today's articles. Let us take overview of all these articles. First, mucormycosis risk mitigation in the COVID battle. So, on page number 6 editorial page, the article is giving all the important information about this mucormycosis disease. Now, the COVID-19 patients who have recovered from the severe disease, they are facing the risk of this mucormycosis disease, and that's why we have to understand how this mucormycosis is being caused. Along with that, who are at risk, how the diagnosis is happening, and what should be the measures to deal with this particular disease. Okay, so all the information at one point. So this becomes important for your mains GS3 paper, science and technology part, as well as prelims examination, basics about this disease. Next, reforming medical education. On page number 7 op-ed page, this particular article is talking about need of more and more public health educational institutions rather than the privatization of already existing public health institutions. Okay, educational institutions like we can say that medical colleges. So the context here is recent Niti Aayog's proposal that district hospitals should be privatized and the private, let's say, healthcare services to be provided. So the context is that one. So the writer is of the view that looking at the constraints that we are facing in terms of health professionals or human resource in medical sector at present dealing with this COVID-19 pandemic, we need to have more and more public health or medical educational institutions rather than privatization of the field. Then this particular article for prelims examination, overseas citizens of India OCIs stung by Home Ministry's notification. So recently Home Ministry had ordered one particular, let's say, changes regarding the facilities, or we can say that that are availed by the OCI card holders. So we will talk about that changes. Along with that, what do you mean by OCIs, PIOs and NRIs? This becomes important for polity part, citizenship, right? So yes, and in the end some COVID-19 related developments and important captions and quotations. Let us go into details of all these articles. First article, mucormycosis risk mitigation in COVID-19 battle. So all about this particular disease that is recently in news, and those who have recovered from severe COVID-19 disease, especially with comorbidities of diabetes and high sugar levels in their blood, they are facing the risk of this mucormycosis fungal disease. What is this disease? A serious but rare fungal infection caused by group of fungi, mucormycetes. Okay. So these mucormycetes fungus, they are responsible for causing the disease. Basically these fungus are present everywhere surrounding us, be it, let's say, dust areas, construction site, or we can talk about let's say gardens. Yes, wherever the dust and pollen grains, all they are available, this fungus, this species of fungus can be present there. They are also being said that we are inhaling this fungus. However, due to our strong immunity, we are not allowing that fungus to grow inside our body and cause this mucormycosis disease. However, many people who are recovering from severe COVID-19 disease conditions, they are having weakened immunity. At the same time, other people who are at risk, who have poor immunity, along with those with uncontrolled diabetes, steroid treatment, then those who have malignancies and HIV/AIDS, and those who have been treated with medicines such as deferoxamine for iron overload conditions during this treatment of COVID-19 disease. Right. So, these are at risk. So, you need to know about the group of people who are facing the risk of this mucormycosis disease. Then, yes, different types of mucormycosis. Yes, commonest among them is rhino-orbital cerebral mucormycosis. Okay, orbital cerebral mucormycosis. This starts with a common cold and sinusitis, but soon spreads to the eye, producing redness of the eyes. Okay, redness of the eyes, later bulging of the eye known as proptosis. It may eventually lead to paralysis of some of the eye muscles or even blindness. Then it can also spread to the brain, and if this occurs, the prognosis is very grave. Okay, so yes, we can understand that this fungal infection should be diagnosed early and aggressive treatment should be given so as to have prognosis good. Prognosis, that means treatment after the disease is diagnosed, right. So, what kind of treatment is provided here? Antifungal drugs such as amphotericin B are used to treat this disease, but they are quite toxic as well as expensive. If the involvement is extensive, that is the infection is extensive, radical surgery may be required, life-saving measure in some cases, including removal of jaw or the eye. This is the situation that we are facing in this mucormycosis fungal infection. Now, what kind of measures are required as a way forward? We need to follow the principle of prevention is better than cure. Yes, preventive care we are talking about. Yes, there are two types of healthcare, preventive and curative. So, focus here in dealing with this mucormycosis disease is preventive care. So, what kind of care can be done? It is very important for those with diabetes to keep their sugar levels under very good level control. A dose of antibiotic drugs will have to be adjusted, and in most of the cases insulin would be needed to keep sugars under control throughout the day. Those having this high diabetes levels, if steroids have to be used, their judicious use is recommended. Yes, we can understand that the unprecedented use of this steroids in treating this COVID-19 disease, mild cases as well as we can say severe cases, the steroids have been overused to some extent, and because of that it is becoming the risk of mucormycosis disease to those recovered patients. Then meticulous hygiene and care of equipments inside ICU, including oxygen tubes and ventilators, should be done in order to reduce the risk of fungal and other infection. Now, this is also a major problem that we are seeing. Those ICU patients, they are facing such more cases of fungal infection. Okay. Then those with diabetes should have healthy diet, a lot of vegetables, less cereals, rice and chapati, and then include more protein in the form of Bengal gram, green gram, black gram and mushroom. They must also have active and regular exercise program. It is very important for them to have their medicines regularly. If sugars are not under control, then switch over to insulin if needed. Frequent monitoring of sugar levels should be done by using handheld blood glucose meter. This is also very important. Monitoring glucose level, sugar levels for those having diabetes is very important. Keeping the sugar under control is very important preventive care for this mucormycosis disease. Fine? Yes. So, these are the steps suggested by the experts to deal with this mucormycosis disease, especially for those patients who recovered from this COVID-19 disease. Fine? Yes. Next, reforming medical education. What kind of, let us say, reforms are needed? Why the writer is talking about such reforms? Yes, we can understand that the present healthcare system in India is facing many constraints, and one of them is human resource. Yes, we are having constraints in terms of material resource, but we are also facing problem of human resource constraint in terms of doctors, nurses and all of them, right. So, for that matter, medical education in India is the matter of concern at present, and that is why in future to deal with such kind of pandemics and strengthen our public health institutions is very important in terms of medical education system. Okay, so why it is in news? Yes, Niti Aayog's proposal allowing private entities to take over district hospitals for converting them into teaching hospitals with at least 150 MBBS students. This proposal is having some concerns. Why? Because we know that district hospitals are let us say the highest level of referral hospitals for rural areas. Okay, they provide tertiary care, district hospitals, and that is why for rural, those patients in rural areas, especially the poor people, they receive treatment in these district hospitals. They will not be able to get the appropriate treatment at the affordable cost now. At the same time, we have to also understand that this is deterring those let us say private players treat medical education as business. They are profit motive people, and that is why it deters those students, aspirants in the medical education to be in the system and serve poor, having the public service motive to enter in this field, right. Along with that, those who enter into this private education institutions, what they will have motive in future is again to work in the private hospitals for the purpose of regaining whatever the investment they have done in terms of high fees in these institutions, right. We are seeing this particular kind of trend, and that is why they will not have any kind of motive to serve in rural areas for poor people. So, that is why the need is for more public health educational institutions. At the same time, this Niti Aayog's proposal is not aligned with India's national health policy goals like achieving universal health coverage and care and health equity, right. So, it is not aligned with these objectives. In the end, we can say that medical education is a public good, as its purpose is to improve the population health and decrease disease burden. So, that is why it should be treated as public good, and profit motive business should not be there. We can understand that healthcare is a social sector, and therefore, the government should invest more and more in. At present, it is only around public health expenditure in health sector is only around 1% of GDP. It should be increased to 3%, at least 3 to 4% of the GDP in future. Along with that, the focus should be on establishing more and more educational institutions, public health educational institutions. Along with that, the quality of existing healthcare as well as educational institutions should be improved. Okay, the resources should be made available to them. Health infrastructure or this institutional infrastructure should be also improved here instead of privatizing them, right. So, such kind of let us say way forward can be given. We have to understand that health sector is a social sector and medical education is a public good. Use such kind of statements in your answers. Fine. So, it is important for governance, HRD, human resource development, healthcare, health sector in GS2 paper as well as COVID-19 pandemic. Next. Overseas citizens of India, OCIs, stung by Home Ministry notification. Basically, this is having the context of 4th March notification order of Home Ministry. That required professional overseas citizens of India such as journalists, engineers, researchers to notify ministry about their activities in India. This has left them in the lurch. This is problematic overburden on these let us say working in the technical fields, people having OCI cards, right. So, yes, officials said that OCI could intimate the Foreigners Regional Registration Office FRRO through email till the portal for registration is activated. At present the portal is not working, so till that time through email they can register. Along with that, OCI cardholders could claim only NRI, non-resident Indian quota seats in educational institutions. It specified that OCIs could only pursue specific professions like doctors, dentists, nurses, pharmacists, advocates, these professions, and the rest would require special permissions. Okay, especially those working in a let's say engineering field. It is not mentioning about the engineering field or professional fields, so that's why special permission for them is required. And majority of these people, OCI card holders, they are engineers, they are working in India in that field, so that's why they will be overburdened. Researchers and developers, they will be overburdened now. Fine. So yes, that's why it was in news regarding this. Now basics about these OCIs and PIOs, background of this PIO and OCI scheme. This is important. Along with that, we will try to also understand the differences between NRI, PIO and OCI. Okay, so yes, in September 2000, Government of India had set up the high level committee on the Indian diaspora under chairmanship of L.M. Singhvi, and submitted report in 2002 recommending the amendment to Citizenship Citizenship Act 1955 to provide grant of dual citizenship to the persons of Indian origin, PIOs, belonging to certain specified countries. Accordingly, the Citizenship Act was amended in 2003, which provided for acquisition of overseas citizenship of India by PIOs of 16 specified countries other than Pakistan and Bangladesh. Further, in 2005, again amendment was there to expand the scope of grant of OCI to the PIOs of all countries except Pakistan and Bangladesh. Right, now it is extended to all countries except these two countries. OCI is not actually dual citizenship, as Indian Constitution does not provide for dual citizenship or dual nationality under Article 9 of Indian Constitution. Along with that, Citizenship Amendment Act 2015 introduced new scheme called Overseas Citizen of India Card Holder by merging PIO card scheme and OCI card scheme. Earlier, before 2015, PIOs cards or PIOs were recognized separately than the OCIs, persons of Indian origin and overseas citizens of India. Now both are merged with one single card, Overseas Citizen of India Card Holder Scheme. Let us try to understand the differences here, PIOs and OCIs. Basic differences are there. For example, persons of Indian origins is a foreign citizen whose one of the parent or grandparent or great grandparents were born and permanent resident of India. That is person of Indian origin, or whose spouse, who is the spouse of citizen of India or a PIO, then he will be called as PIO. Right. Along with that, what are the benefits for PIO? PIO card holders do not require visa to visit India for a period of 15 years from the date of issue of PIO card. Along with that, they are exempted from registration at FRRO regional registration officers, foreign regional registration, if their stay does not exceed 180 days. In case if their stay exceeds 180 days, they shall have to register with this institute for next 30 days. They enjoy parity with NRIs, non-resident Indians, in economic, financial and educational benefits. Right. So this is how PIOs enjoy the benefits. Now what is OCI, Overseas Citizen of India, foreign national? Try to understand, the person is foreign national, or we can say that he is having citizenship of other country. Okay. A foreign national who was eligible to become citizen of India on 26 January 1950 or was citizen of India on any time after that, belong to the territory that became part of India after 1947, is eligible for registration of as overseas citizen of India. Right. So that person is eligible for getting this OCI card. Now minor children of such person are also eligible for OCI, right? So along with that benefits, OCIs are entitled to multi-purpose, multi-entry and lifelong visa, allowing them to visit India at any time for any length of time or for any purpose. That means that person is not foreign national, rather we can say that that person is having some kind of links to India, that person is having some kind of, let's say, ancestral link or resided in the country for some period of time. That is called as overseas citizen of India. He is citizen of India but overseas citizen of India. He is also exempted from police reporting for any length of stay in the country, have also been granted all rights in the economic, financial and educational fields in parity with NRIs, except right to acquisition of agriculture or plantation properties. This is OCIs, this is PIOs. Now they have been merged. Okay. So what are the differences again as compared to NRI? Basically NRIs are non-resident Indians. Indian citizen who is ordinarily residing outside India but holds Indian passport. Basically that is Indian citizen working outside, that is NRI. Then person of Indian origin, person who or whose any of the ancestors was an Indian national and who is presently holding another country's citizenship or nationality, that is he is holding foreign passport. Person of Indian origin is having the foreign passport. However, OCIs, person registered as OCI cardholder under the Citizenship Act of 1955, they are called as overseas citizen. Now, what are the provisions here? Does he require visa for visiting for India? For NRI, no. For PIO, yes. And overseas citizen of India can visit India without visa for lifelong. Okay, that means visa is not required. Then is he required to register with local police authorities? For NRI, no. For PIOs, yes, if the period stay is for more than 180 days. And here for OCI card holders, no. Along with that, what activities can be undertaken in India? For NRIs, all activities. Then for PIOs, activities as per visa obtained for that purpose only. And for OCIs, all activities except research work with special permission required from Indian mission or FRO concerned. Okay, so this is how we have to know about some of the activities and let's say visa, whether it is required, local registration with local police is required or not. Such kind of information is important. What kind of question we can expect here? Consider the following statements regarding these three entities. First statement, while PIOs require visa to visit India, NRIs and OCIs do not require. Yes, this is correct statement. We have to find the correct statements among these three. Yes, PIOs require visa while other two does not require. OCIs are allowed for lifelong without visa visiting India. NRIs also do not require because they are Indian citizens, they have Indian passport. While OCIs are required to register with local police authorities in India, while NRIs and PIOs do not. Now this is incorrect. Here PIOs are required to register with local police, NRIs and OCIs are not required to. Okay. Along with that, while NRIs hold Indian passport, PIOs and OCI do not. This is correct statement. Right. So 1 and 3 should be the correct answer. Such kind of let's say tricky framing of the statements can be there. Factual clarity is required in such kind of topics. Fine. Okay. Next, COVID-19 related developments. Yes, Sputnik 5 vaccine developed by Gamaleya National Research Center for Russia will be available in India from early next week. Today itself there was news that yes, first dose of Sputnik V vaccine has been let's say given in Hyderabad. Then Union government has accepted recommendation of extension of gap between first and second doses of Covishield vaccine between 12 to 16 weeks. Earlier this gap was 6 to 8 weeks. Now after 3 months, around 3 months, we are going to get the second dose of Covishield, and no such changes have been made in terms of Covaxin. This remains same. This remains same. Supreme Court ordered the governments of Delhi, Uttar Pradesh and Haryana to open community kitchens in well advertised places in NCR, National Capital Region, to provide meals at least twice a day to migrant labor stranded due to lockdown. Okay. So in NCR region, the territories of Delhi, UP and Haryana, the Supreme Court has directed to provide community kitchen and meals twice a day at least to these migrant laborers. At the same time, court directed the authorities not to insist on any identity card from these migrant laborers while distributing dry ration. The bench ordered Delhi and Haryana to ensure that adequate transport is provided to stranded migrant laborers in NCR who want to return home. Now, yes, recently we looked into one case study in this manner wherein these migrant laborers, bonded laborers were stranded in Delhi, and they complained about the construction, let's say, owner and contractor not providing the payment for last 2 months. They are not having enough money to go back as well as for food, and they complained about this in the collector office as well as police. Then what should be the approach as you being the DM in place, district magistrate or district collector? So this is how we provided the way forward also: immediate relief, food, shelter, and we can say basic minimum health facilities, medicines if required, and then adequate transport facilities. We can say that the tickets, railway tickets can be booked by the administration for these migrant laborers who want to return home. Okay, so this is how the approach should be there in such kind of case study. Now Supreme Court has also directed the same thing. Fine. Now Supreme Court has suggested placing convicts under house arrest to avoid overcrowding of prisons. Yesterday itself we talked about the prison reforms from the mains perspective. Again, the new suggestions have been given. Some data is important here. NCRB data shows that occupancy rate in prisons have climbed to 118.5% in 2019, more than 100%. Along with that, the number of under trials in the prisoners in 2019 constituted 69.05%. That means around 75% of the total prisoners in Indian prisons are under trials. They are not convicted yet. This is the situation that we are facing in the especially criminal justice system. Very important fact for GS2 paper. Along with that, those who are having public administration as optional subject. Then Drugs Controller General of India has accepted the recommendation of Subject Expert Committee SEC and accorded permission to conduct phase 2 and phase 3 clinical trials of Covaxin in 2 to 18 age group, Bharat Biotech has said. Okay, so such permission has been provided by our regulator. So in future we can test the efficacy of this Covaxin for the children age group also. Fine? Yes. And lastly, some important captions and quotations. Yes, this particular caption was there. Medical education is public good as its purpose is to improve the population health and decrease disease burden. Such kind of statement can be used as a conclusion in the question. When we are talking about medical education, it can be used in essay paper also. Fine? Yes, these were important articles from today's The Hindu newspaper. For further information on editorial discussion classes or ED classes wherein in-depth analysis of mains related issues and articles is done by Ansari sir and team, you can contact Lukman IAS. Thank you.